And that's it. Southgate has gone. Just a little message from the FA to say that Southgate is no longer with us. He's not dead. He's just no longer England manager. Now, some of you are going to be absolutely ecstatic about that, and I get it. He didn't win anything. Then again, neither did Roy Hodgson, Fabio Capello, Steve McLaren, Sven-Goran Eriksson, Kevin Keegan, Glenn Hoddle, Terry Venables, Graham Taylor, Bobby Robson. The list goes on and on. But before we go on to who might be the next England manager, just remember this. Two massive positives came out of Southgate's reign as England manager. Number one, he genuinely drew a country together. If you think back to when he started, the country actually started to believe again. And he has to be given credit for that. He is our most successful manager since the one man who actually managed to win us something. And number two, he brought the team together, arguably like no other manager has managed to do in the past. If you look back on interviews from the golden generation, they all say the same thing. The team was divided. Some of the players didn't even want to go and play for England. And Gareth Southgate and his man management skills was the one person to change all of that around. And we need to keep that spirit for whoever comes in next. And speaking of which, Graham Potter, the bookmaker's favourite, although that's changing by the hour. Unemployed since being sacked by Chelsea after 7 months in charge. Now, some may call that stint at Stamford Bridge ill-fated, and there's absolutely no doubt the club was in minor chaos when he joined. But could he or should he have done a little bit better? Maybe. Did he perform well enough under pressure? Because as we all know, dealing with pressure is one of the number one attributes any manager needs coming into one of the most scrutinised jobs in football. Now look, there's definitely positives to Potter. He is able to play multiple systems in a single game, which he showed multiple times at Brighton, which is something that Gareth has lacked on a number of occasions. And he actually did incredibly well with Brighton in arguably the toughest league in the world. It is the toughest league in the world. And he has that good guy persona, which I think England need. Southgate had that in spades over the last 8 years, and it will be a key contributor to our success moving forward. Now, the way he sets his teams up, they always create a lot of chances, which is a massive positive, but he also often fails to capitalise, which is not what we want. Now, this could be down to the players, and bear in mind, he's going to inherit, on paper at least, a world-class team if he were to be the next England manager. Now, he's another former defender, same as Southgate. This was obviously a massive point of contention during Southgate's reign, but Potter definitely seems more tactically astute. Moving on, if the FA continue their way of promoting from within, look no further than Lee Carsley. Another former defensive player, although he was a defensive midfielder, which is actually one of the better positions to be if you're going to be a world-class manager. Pep Guardiola, Carlo Ancelotti, Mikel Arteta, all defensive midfielders, all at the top of their game. Southgate was criticised for his pre-England managerial career, getting Middlesbrough relegated. There's more to that story, but that's for another time. But if you look at the fact that the two nations that have just won their respective continents tournaments, you have De La Fuente at Spain, who was the under-20, under-21 and under-23 manager of Spain. That's his credentials. And then you have Scaloni, the Argentinian manager, who was Argentina's under-20 manager before becoming the men's team manager. That's his credentials. So you don't necessarily need to have that big club experience to be a successful international manager. If anything, it's a completely different kettle of fish. Now, Lee Carsley is well respected within the England setup, having won the under-21s Euro 2023 championships, beating Spain, and he has coached the likes of Anthony Gordon, Cole Palmer, Jared Branthwaite and Curtis Jones. Now, Carsley's style of play is also far more attacking than Southgate's, which has been evidenced by the way he has set his under-21 team up. Whether Carsley gets the job on a full-time basis remains to be seen. However, he could step in on a temporary basis, and I'll explain exactly why that is shortly, so stick around. But next up, Mauricio Pochettino. I don't know why I said it like that. Are we really going to go back to this? Now, this might be divisive, and a lot of people say, well, as long as we win, I don't really care. But I believe we should have an English manager for the England national team in an ideal world. Unless, of course, the foreign manager is just far too good to turn down. And I don't think Pochettino is far too good to turn down. Now, before you all jump on me in the comments, I'm not saying he's a bad manager. I mean, he won Ligue 1, and we all know how challenging that league is. And he only had, like, players like Messi and Neymar and Mbappe to win that league. Trust me, there's not many managers who could have done what he did there. But being serious for a second, he would offer a lot. Definitely has great player management credentials. He knows how to bring a team together, and he knows how to build that team spirit. And he's also known to work very well with the youth. And being a former Chelsea manager, he'll definitely be playing Cole Palmer on the regular, which is nice. But is he a true winner? Well, look, let's count up the trophies, shall we? He won the Farmers League in France and their cup as well. And then he, look, given the two countries' political and sporting histories, all I'm saying is it might be worth considering other options before we land on Pochettino. And talking of other options, we might be getting into long shot territory now. Eddie Howe. Oh, how the timing could have been so much better on this one. After a great first season with Newcastle, getting him into the Champions League, it all seemed to be going wrong for him last year. And if it had carried on as it was, he might have been available now. But he had to go and show his managerial nous, didn't he, and turn things around. So Eddie Howe has been touted as the next England manager since he was the rising star of young managers at Bournemouth. He is known for getting the best out of players. Yes, he's been able to spend big at Newcastle, bringing in the likes of Gordon, Guimaraes and Isaac. But he's also transformed players who were already at the club, like Murphy, Almiron, Joel Linton. He is your typical tracksuit manager who has, in fairness, grown tactically during his career, and he knows how to get players on side. He would be a massively strong appointment. And I'm saying he's an outsider, but his odds are becoming dramatically shorter as time is going on. We have to remember though, Newcastle are not going to want to let him go. In fact, the CEO has already come out and said that Eddie is the man to lead us on the wonderful journey that we're going on, or some nonsense like that. Now let's move on to the true outsiders, starting with Thomas Tuchel. He falls out with the club hierarchy about every 18 months. He turned down a Man United job due to his wage demands not being met. Well, let me tell you something, Thomas. I doubt you get more money managing England, although we all know Southgate was on a fair old whack. Sources close to Tuchel say that he is interested. However, unless a lot of dominoes fall before the FA get to him, I just can't see them reaching out to him. But what about his fellow countryman, the one, the only Jurgen Klopp? I mean, look, if anyone believes this is real, then you need to get your heads checked. This will probably come back and bite me in the arse, and he'll be appointed now, and I'll look like an absolute moron. He's just retired. He's loving life in Spain. He's taking his dogs for walks, popping up at concerts and football matches all over the place. I just can't see him wanting to get straight back into the fray of, again, the most scrutinised job in world football. If he goes anywhere, I'd put my money on him heading stateside to take over the US men's team. Don't know why I said it like that. Now, I mentioned earlier Lee Carsley could potentially be appointed on a temporary basis, and that brings up just one man, Pep Guardiola. Now, this is one that would turn heads, wouldn't it? I talked about foreign managers that would be too good to turn down. If there's any foreign manager that would be too good to turn down, it's Pep Guardiola, maybe Ancelotti. Though Mourinho would probably be quite fun for a little while. Now, he is only under contract with City until the end of 2025, and all sources are saying that he's not going to sign an extension. So is there a world where Lee Carsley takes over until the end of 2025, and then the FA miraculously unveil one of, if not arguably the greatest manager of all time as the new head coach of the England national team, just in time for the run-up to the World Cup in the States? It would be a massive coup. Probably not going to happen though. I know you've all got big opinions on this, so get them in the comments. Returning viewers will know that I respond to every single comment we get. If you've enjoyed the video, do consider liking or maybe subscribing. We'll see you on the next one.